Welcome to the Pathways to Profitability podcast, personal tales of business success, where we hear local business owners' personal stories of their trials and tribulations that got them to where they are today. Here's your host, Cheryl Mucha, CEO of CFO Your Way.
Hello, and thank you so much for being here. We're super excited today to have Anna McKay, the owner of Parents Pivot, and she has a Thrive Like a Mother workshop, which I can't wait to hear more details about. Anna, thank you so much for being here with us today.
Thank you so much, Cheryl. I'm really excited to do this with you.
So just tell our audience a little bit about who Anna is and how you came to create Parents Pivot, and then a little bit later, we'll get into the Thrive workshop.
Okay, sure. So I started my career in accounting and was working for Deloitte for a period of time. And it was something that I could do, but I didn't love doing it. And so I looked to what else I could do, what else I wanted to do, and I became a coach. Right around that time, I moved overseas with my husband for his work. And we moved to the Philippines, and later we moved to Beijing. And about 8 years ago, we moved to Houston. So throughout that time, I was coaching. I was also meeting a bunch of other, mostly women, who had left their careers to move overseas to be with their spouses. And then when I returned to Houston, I was meeting a lot of women who had left their careers to raise children. And then when their kids went to kindergarten, they were looking to get back to work. And those women who I had met who had left their careers and moved overseas also had that same challenge that they were looking to get back to work, but they didn't know exactly what they wanted to do, how they would talk about their career pause, how they would figure out how to get back to paid work. And I knew these women well, and I knew they had so much value to offer that I wanted to do something to support them. So I used my coaching skills, and after about 10 years as a coach, I finally decided to start Parents Pivot to really support people with a career pause. So whether you're a parent returning to work, or whether you're caring for parents or you're caring for another family member, somebody with a career pause getting back to paid work, it's really challenging, and I love to support parents getting back to paid work.
So do you work primarily with women, or do you work with men as well?
I work with men as well. I named the company Parents Pivot because I wanted it to be inclusive. I love when I get a chance to work with a stay-at-home dad who's looking to return to paid work too. But primarily my early experience, most of the people I've met are women, and it's still kind of the majority of the cases.
Right.
Most of the people I work with are women, but I love working with a stay-at-home dad too.
That's exciting. So
Yeah.
you've been in business for a couple years now.
Yes.
Let's talk a little bit about pandemic, because it's on everyone's mind. Is there something you had to change, or is there the way you were doing your business, did it change during COVID, or is it pretty
Oh,
much
it did.
steadfast?
It did. I'd say for my business, it was a good thing. I am located in Houston, and so prior to the pandemic, I would hold in-person group coaching programs, and that was great and amazing, and loved it. I wanted to switch to virtual prior to the pandemic, and I actually did, because Houston's so big. The Thrive group coaching program that I did right before the pandemic, there were people in the suburbs, there were people central in the city. And so it was just too much for everybody to travel in. So I did do a virtual session. And it's interesting because after pre-COVID, people were really, really wanting that kind of in-person connection for group coaching. And after the pandemic and during the pandemic, people just wanted to connect with people no matter what and how. And so a lot of people came from all over the place. So definitely during COVID, I had a much wider audience. So I work with people nationwide over Zoom in these Zoom group coaching programs, and it works really well. You still get that great connection, and people are really they're more open to being on Zoom these days.
Yeah. And like you said, your business can expand because of
Yes.
Zoom. So I
Yes.
find in a lot of business owners that I speak to that the pandemic has allowed them to just expand their reach, whether
Yes.
for business or just to create those connections.
Yes. Yes. And it's so fun I've lived all over the US, and it's so fun to
All over the
reconnect with
world
people
you've
all
lived.
over the world too. Yes. But it's fun to connect with people all over
Yeah.
in this work. So yeah.
So let's talk a little bit about your Thrive Like a Mother workshop. It sounds like a wonderful program. Tell our audience a little bit about the program and some of the results that you've seen.
Sure. Well, so I noticed with my clients that there were a couple of things that they really wanted when they were returning to work. First, challenge that they were having was kind of a lack of clarity around what they wanted to do when they returned to paid work. Many of my clients were super successful beforehand and didn't want to go back to doing the 80-hour-a-week job they were doing before, but didn't know exactly what they wanted to do. Other clients had that lack of clarity. They may want to go back in and do something similar to what they were doing before, but they didn't know how to get back after having that pause. And so then that led to the next challenge, which is kind of a confidence, and so a lack of confidence. So when you've been out of paid work for a period of years, you can kind of like it can really zap you of your confidence, and it feels like, what have I been doing? And I know that you've been doing a lot, but those are two key things that I like to help people with in the Thrive program. And then in addition, there's all the job search technical stuff that you need to get done,
Right.
like your resume, your LinkedIn, your networking, your interview prep, your salary negotiation. So it's really a comprehensive program to first help you figure out what you want to do, help you build the confidence and know the value that you bring, and then get you back to paid work with all those job search tactical kind of tools that you need.
Yeah, I can imagine that after, you're out of work for a while. I mean, I know what the interview process is like, and just to build that confidence just in the interview process.
Yes, yes. I know. And so many people, even if they've left paid work like 3 years ago, they maybe haven't done an interview or really utilized LinkedIn or utilized their networks in maybe 10 years. So
Right. Yeah, in 10
um,
years, a lot changes.
a lot changes. So many of my people have been like, I didn't even use LinkedIn when I was in working before. So yeah.
Right. So, is there a person or a situation in your life that you can point to that says, "This is why I did what I did and became an entrepreneur and
Mm.
followed this path?"
Yeah, so that's an interesting thing. I think that a couple of people I know, like both of my parents were entrepreneurs, but I never really thought of them as entrepreneurs. My dad had a hardware business, my mom was a caterer, and so I think one of the people, my mom especially, so she was home with us for a period of years while we were younger, and then she returned to paid work as a caterer, and it was just such a natural fit for her. She loved cooking and would there would always be a ton of people in the kitchen if people were over. The entertainment centered in the kitchen, and she loved doing that. Like, my dad tells stories about how she would bring cookbooks with her on vacation as her leisure reading. Cooking was just something that she absolutely loved. So it was such a natural fit for her to
So you had
return.
lots of good meals growing up, right?
I did. Oh my goodness, definitely. And so it was just such a natural fit for her to return to paid work as a caterer. And I love helping people find that match for them. And so I think she's definitely a key influence and a key inspiration.
Right.
Yeah.
Great. So tell the audience a little bit about what motivates you every day. What gets you out of bed in the morning? What excites you every day?
Mhm. Well, so it is working with my clients, because a lot of times I meet people and they're so frustrated. They're at such a point where they feel like they're not doing something right. They can't get the traction that they need. They're kind of really stuck and trying to figure out what's next for them career-wise. And I love seeing them work through the process, that work through the framework that we've got at Thrive, and really and make it land the job of their dreams. And so there was one person who is in a recent Thrive cohort, and she had a 21-year career pause.
Wow.
She actually came to me like a year before. She was like, I don't know if I want to do this. I'm just going to try this on my own. A year later, she came back and she hadn't made any progress. She was just stuck. So we worked together. She came through the Thrive program. Within like a month or two of the Thrive program, she had landed her dream job. And I just talked to her a few weeks ago, and she is still loving it. So it's just that kind of thing motivates me to keep doing this kind of work.
I can see how that motivates you. It's great to see your efforts be put into someone else's success.
Yes, 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 yes. It's so fun to see these transformational shifts with my clients.
Yeah. So that kind of leads me into I saw on your one of your videos, one of your Thrive clients said she makes you feel like you can do anything. And that just like it excited me because it's personal. It's yeah, that success is there. It's reachable, and just to let people know that they can attain their dreams. And it's okay to ask for help.
Yes. Yes, yes, yes. It is. It's okay to ask for help. And that's kind of really the power of group coaching. I love when people get together and there's a positive energy and everybody's there to support each other. And I am a positive person. It's part of who I am. It's just part of, and so I think that kind of sets the stage for the group. And so being in that supportive community where really you can get accountability from being with other women who are also returning and also doing, kind of going through the journey that you are, is just super motivating and super powerful. So I love the power of a group.
Yeah, it's great to be able to push ideas off of one another and know that you're not the only one struggling. You're not the only one that's in this situation, and there is a light at the end of the tunnel, and we
It-
can, kind of bind together to get there.
yes, yes, exactly, exactly. Love it.
Exciting. So tell me a little bit about work-life balance. What do you do? I mean, you put everything in your being into your work, and you just elude the enthusiasm about your work. But what do you do, to have that balance, that pleasure time,
Yeah.
that family time?
Yeah, so I do set up my schedule to where I do most of my work between 9 and 3. I want to be there to pick up my kids. I have two elementary aged kids. And I want to be there to pick them up from school and to do homework with them. And it's really important for me. So I do carve that time out. And then I'll go back and I'll answer some emails or do some other stuff kind of in the evening time time, but I really do want to block out that time. And also in the morning, my younger daughter she has really thick hair, and she's like, "Mommy, you've got to brush my hair. You've got to put it up in a ponytail." So I try to make sure I'm always there to brush her hair and put it up in a ponytail in the morning.
That's great. That's great time. Like, that's great time to be together.
Yes, exactly. And I give them a little hug, and then send them on their way.
Off to school they go, right?
Exactly. Yes.
So tell our audience a little bit about how they get in touch with you, about upcoming programs that you have, how they
Yes.
engage with you.
Yeah. So the Parents Pivot website has all sorts of information. It has information about the Thrive program. I also have a working parents program, so a program for people who are in the workforce. It's kind of like a leadership program for parents, so where you get to design your vision for who you want to show up as a leader and as a parent, and how you combine that. And that really stems from the work that I've done with Thrive to help people kind of get in touch with what's important to them, and kind of to craft their ideal next job. I like to do that for people who are returning to paid work, or if you're still working. So the Parents Pivot website is a great place. You can get, if you're looking to return to paid work, you can get the ultimate return to work checklist on there. And, of course, we're on Instagram at Parents Pivot, and Facebook at Parents Pivot, and also LinkedIn. So we got all those channels to get in touch. And I'm always happy to talk with people who are returning to paid work, or who are trying to figure out like how to navigate that work-life balance. So yeah.
It's so crucial, that work-life balance. I mean, I'm sure you're like me. I love what I do, so I never work a day in my life. So it's all just fun and enjoyable.
I know. Well, that's so funny, because I feel like I do feel the same. I love the work I do, so it doesn't feel like work. And at some point, I kind of got into a situation where I feel like I love my work so much. I feel like that is my self-care. My work is
Right,
my self-care, because I love my work so much. But in some ways, like even if you love your work so much, that you need to do something else
right.
to
Oh,
kind of
absolutely. But,
recharge and get that self-care.
yeah, and you and I love our work so much, and you're helping your clients find that love.
Yes, exactly,
So fulfilling, I'm sure.
It is, I love it, yeah, and you help your clients too do amazing things and fulfill their dreams too.
Yeah. It's all about the money, right?
Exactly. All about the money.
Yeah. So is there anything else that comes to mind that you would like to share with our audience today?
Yeah, no, I think that I've really enjoyed this conversation. I love what you're doing to, connect with other business owners. I think that that's really an important thing for people to do, to kind of get out of your own kind of bubble, and listen to what's going on for other business owners. So I love that you're offering this opportunity for people, and thank you so much for having me here.
Well, thank you, Anna, so much for being here. I really enjoyed our conversation and learning more about, your program and your business and you.
Yeah, well, thanks.
Thank you. So thank you everyone for tuning in and being here with us today. And thank you again, Anna, for giving us your time as well and sharing your experiences. So be sure to subscribe and stay connected so that you get notified of future episodes of this podcast, Pathways to Profitability. And just be well, take care of yourself, and be well. Thank you.
That's it for today's episode of Pathways to Profitability. Remember to ask yourself, where can I pay my success forward today?